Question for Bradley. I've been in local SEO a while and ranked for some local and state keywords, but wanting to diversify, excuse me, and move towards ranking my own sites. What would you recommend is the simplest way to get into lead gen? I will need to rank in stages as capital is allocated, but how would you go with leads? Number one, charge out whole site for a fixed fee, or charge per lead, or route call through a center and charge for converted lead. I'm thinking 3 is best, but I don't know about getting my own call center going or if it can be outsourced. If so, what software or services would be best? Thanks. Appreciate all this stuff. Awesome stuff you guys put out, or you guys share in methods. Okay. So there's benefits and there's pros and cons to each one of the 3 methods you mentioned. The easiest way to do it is to just rank and rent, right? So that's lease out the site, rank it and lease it out for a flat monthly fee. It doesn't matter how many calls it gets, how many form fills it gets, how many leads it generates. You just charge a flat monthly fee for the site because it's ranked. Like that's it. Like obviously it should be generating leads or else you won't keep whoever's renting it from you for long. So you've got to rank it for keywords that are going to generate leads for sure. But all you charge is a flat fee. That's the easiest thing to manage. It's the easiest way to get started too, by the way. Yes, you can leave money on the table, but it is the easiest to manage because you don't have to have the infrastructure in place to track leads and bill for leads. That's one of the things that you have to overcome fairly quickly if you're going to do on a pay per lead basis, is you have to have some sort of system in place that will qualify leads. What qualifies a lead as a billable lead, right? Is it duration of call? There's a number of things that you can do on that end, but you also have to track the calls that came in, which is easy to do with virtual phone numbers, right? Tracking phone numbers or form fills. If you're, you can just use your own form, which can be done with WordPress or Jot form or high level or whatever. So you can track how many leads have been generated. And then you have to determine out of the leads that like the number of calls, which calls are billable leads, because a lot of those calls are going to be spam calls, robocalls, solicitation calls, Home Advisor, Angie, service, House Call Pro is another one. Like we're getting hammered with solicitation calls for a lot of our, a lot of my clients are from a lot of these types of companies. So that's why I'm saying you have to have some sort of process in place that will, let's say you get 20 calls in a week, but only 6 of them were actually valid leads because 14 of them were spam calls. Then you have to be able to have something in place that will identify as out of 20 calls, 6 of them are billable leads. And then how do you collect payment on those? Do you get paid up front, which is what I recommend? Or do you get paid? Do you bill the customer after the fact on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis for the number of leads, valid, qualified billable leads that were generated? So there's a number of things you have to take into account. Personally, if you're going to do pay per lead, I would recommend probably Lead Simplify, which is Mike Martin's product. Lead Simplify. Check it out. We have an affiliate link for it, but I don't know, Chris, if you want to try to find that or not, but it's called Lead Simplify. It's Mike Martin's product. That's a really good way for pay per lead, where you actually require the lead buyer to purchase credits inside the system. So they have to pre-fund their account with credits. They have to buy credits. They have to spend money to have credits available, which then they can purchase leads using credits. So you get paid up front. That's why I liked using leads. And I still use Lead Simplify myself. I've got a handful of contractors that are still on the pay per lead model. Most of them are on equity share now, or revenue share, I should call it. It's not equity share, it's revenue share. But so if you're going to do on a pay per lead basis, I would recommend that you use something like Lead Simplify. There's other services out there that do it, but I use Lead Simplify myself. It's Mike Martin's product. That's what I would recommend on a pay per lead basis. Routing the calls through a call center. I do that anyways, even for my pay per lead clients. I do that because I learned a long time ago that generating a lead, if the phone's not answered when a lead calls and to seek a business, like in search of an estimate or whatever, that's the quickest way to lose a lead, right? Like if it's your job to generate the lead, then that's great. But if nobody answers the phone, that's a lost lead, right? They're not going to leave a voicemail. And even if they do, by the time somebody gets to the voicemail and calls them back, they've already called another contractor or company to get their problem resolved. Does that make sense? So I've been running all of my lead gen calls through a call center since 2013 or maybe 2014, but a long time, like 8 or 9 years, no kidding. And I use Answer Connect for that. I know that I've been happy with Answer Connect. I've been using the same company for many, many years. Since I started using, this is it here. And I've been using them since, like I said, 2013 or 2014. So 8 or 9 years. And I'm happy with them. I know some of the mastermind members, our mastermind members, said that they weren't happy with Answer Connect and they went with some other services. I'm not changing. I'm happy with them. Another one that I know of, some people use, is called Pat Live. There's also, I think, Ruby. Ruby is another one. So there's a number of these kind of like answering services. Like I said, I've used this service right here for 8 or 9 years. I'm happy with them. I've always had really good results as far as dealing with their support whenever I need support for stuff. So I'm happy with them. I won't change. So that's what I would recommend. Pay-per-call is, again, you're probably going to, the easiest thing to manage, rank and rent, because it requires the least amount of effort on your part other than to just collect payments on a monthly basis and keep the site ranked. Pay per lead, you got to track everything. And you're going to have conversations with your lead buyers at sometimes about what qualifies as a billable lead, unless you run all of your calls through a call center first. And then when the call center, because the call center acts as the screener, the call screener, right? That's why I love to run everything through a call center, not just because somebody answers the phone when somebody calls. There's always, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's always somebody answering the phone with a call center. That's one of the reasons. But the other reason is the call center screens all the calls. So it eliminates spam calls, robocalls, solicitation calls, sales calls. It eliminates all of that shit from ever even getting to the lead buyer, right? Their phone's not going to get blown up with a bunch of robocalls. Their phone is only going to notify them when it's a real valid lead that's been pre-screened by the answering service. So that's why I've for years, I've run all of my lead calls through a call center, specifically for that reason. But then there's also the equity share model, revenue share model, which is what I do with a lot of my contractors, but that requires even more kind of tracking and all that kind of stuff, verification, all of that. And so we won't get into that today. That's beyond the scope of the amount of time that we have right now anyway. But for that, I use high level. And I run all of I only have a few pay per lead clients or lead buyers left right now. Almost every of my tree contractors now are on revenue share. And I use what I call a lead management app that it's just a sub account snapshot that I built in high level that I have all of my lead buyers that are on revenue share. I force them to subscribe to that app for $100 a month. And then we use the app to track all the leads. And that's how I know that I'm not getting cheated. So anyway, like I said, the easiest way to get started is rank and rent. And I would highly suggest that you get your feet wet there before trying pay per lead. Once you have some success with being able to monetize your ranked assets by just renting it out for a flat monthly fee, then you can progress or graduate up to pay per lead and then possibly revenue share at a later date. But start with number one, rank and rent. It's the easiest way to get started. Okay, don't overcomplicate it.